Let's explore autistic history and the autism wars. This is part 132 of a series. All right, I'm going to jump right back into the parent testimony that was given by Kenneth Curtis in the April 6, 2000 hearing. And then after I'm done with this, either at the end of this video or in the next one, I will share more autistic people's voices that were speaking out at this time but were silenced. They were silenced. Many of the parents that were speaking at this congressional hearing were affiliated with an autism organization, and that organization and its leaders, including these parents, were very, very aware of autistic people and our voices and what was being said at the time, and were communicating even back and forth, but you won't hear any of that being spoken about in this hearing, and you won't hear from any autistic in a meaningful manner. All we're going to get is professionals and parents' voices and a lot of conjecture, misinformation, and myth, and just ugh. But let's get back to the testimony. All right, we left off with, there is no match for a mother's love. She read, she researched, she investigated while I tried to come to terms with the idea that I might never be able to shoot hoops with my son. Again, this testimony is being given by Kenneth Curtis, parent of an autistic. He states, before long, we had a plan. We opted for the one-to-one intensive ABA therapy program developed by Dr. Lovis at UCLA. We spent thousands of dollars, wrangled with the school system, hired lawyers, lived in my grandmother's house to save on rent, and we began teaching our son in home. For 5 years, Morgan had between 30 and 40 hours a week of one-on-one therapy. At age 4, oh my gosh, just the amount of hours for these young kids is wow. All right, at age 4, my son had more college friends than most fraternity brothers. He learned to read a little, to spell a little, to use the toilet, and most importantly, he learned how to listen to people and even began to talk a little bit. I am a radio guy. I talk for a living, and the irony of having a son who does not know how to communicate with words is not lost on me. I know there are things that my son wants to say to me as he gets older. Oh. And as he gets older, I can look into his eyes and see the frustration and the confusion. There is a little boy inside of him somewhere, and it is as if he is lost. This is really what it is like. It is like being in the mall with your child and you look down and discover he is not there anymore. That sickening feeling you get in the pit of your stomach, except that every once in a while, I catch a glimpse of the real boy. The way his eyes light up when you bring the Christmas tree home, the way he smiles when he jumps into the pool, or the way he sits perfectly still and enraptured when he got to see the symphony. He loves music, he loves animals, he loves trains, books, swings, ice cream, and even his family, of course. But he cannot tell me his favorite color or how his day at school was or what hurts when he falls off the swing set. He still has not figured out how to express or reveal himself, and he does not seem to understand why this is so important to us. Oh, goodness. I want to know why my son is locked inside of himself. Is there a genetic disposition? Is it environmental? Is it something in the water? Do pesticides cause it? Preservatives, antibiotics, shots, NutraSweet, the time he fell and hit his head? It sounds crazy, but these are the things we have all heard and thought about, and the truth is, we have no idea why our son is autistic, and we have to accept that. But we love our son so much that we can never give up hope that he will one day carry on a conversation with us, or even just say, "Hi, Dad," when I come home from work. Morgan is a truly beautiful person in his own right, just as he is right now. I have never met anyone, and I doubt I ever will, who lives more in the moment than my son. He is affectionate, imaginative, and even humorous sometimes, and I have learned more from him than I have from any other single person in my entire life. He is autistic, and that is just the way he is. But not everybody is as lucky as we are. Morgan is not aggressive or self injurious like a lot of individuals with autism. He is 8 years old. I have had a lot of time to come to terms with this. Even so, the frustration of dealing with autism is nearly eclipsed by the frustration and the lack of concrete information about this disorder. Autism is used to be considered rare, the kind of thing you see in movies or read about in books, but it never actually happened to anyone you knew. In January of this year, the Autism Society of America estimated that autism had increased from 15 out of every 10,000 individuals to 1 in 500. Let's remember the Autism Society of America was founded and launched by Bernard Rimland and Ivar Lovis. So, yeah. And the repercussions of this increase are so far reaching. These children will need specialized education and appropriate care for the rest of their lives. Are we honestly ready for this? Are our schools equipped to handle this increase? This overwhelming surge in this disorder is not just going to affect individual families. This is going to impact our community and the entire world in which we live. He goes on to state, my son is a beautifully colored thread in the fabric of my family, but even so, 1 in every 500 families should not have to live with this disorder. And one of these numbers keep increasing. So here I am today, wearing the only suit that I own, discussing my son before the legislative arm of the ruling body of the greatest nation in the world. Believe me, testifying here today is one of the most important things I've ever done, and with all due respect to the tremendous body of work before each of you, I would like to think that this is a very important day for you as well. And then he says, thank you. So over on autistics.org, at that time in the year 2000, and you can find these comments in the Wayback Machine, the archives, autistics were speaking about the Hear Their Silence rally and the communications between themselves and the organizers. So here are some responses to the emails that were going back and forth. One autistic states, if you want my opinion to forward, we need diagnoses for adults, and we need help with complicated stuff like paying the bills. Another autistic states, about words, etc., they're still big on looking into causes and interventions, and both of those worry me. ARK, Autism Resource Connections, the organization I believe they are referring to here in parentheses. Intervention sounds kind of like stopping something in its tracks and trying to make it something different. An ally and a mother responds to the previous comment, stating, when the principal told me the new aide was getting intervention training and behavior modification training, I asked what they meant, and they were learning the proper way to restrain. Now they have designed a pilot program. It's a cement block room with no window, a safety issue. 3 kids, 2 adults who don't have to be teachers because it's a pilot program. They are mad because they hired the main person and I refused to send my son back. All right, I'm gonna wrap this video up here, and then the next one start right back in with the autistic community voices that were speaking out at that time. Thank you very much for hanging out with me and learning a little bit more autistic history and how we got to where we are today.